Welcome to the Steadman Coliseum on the campus of the University of Georgia for tonight's live SEC ESPN coverage as the 11th ranked Georgia Gym Dogs welcome the #1 Florida Gators. Hi everybody, my name is Bart Connor and I'm proud as always to be joined by my fellow Olympic medalist Kathy Johnson-Clark and Laura Rutledge on our coverage tonight. Now we've come on the air many different ways. This is a little unusual. Maybe you can explain what happened, because a few minutes ago the power went out in half the light banks here and it caused a delay in the warm-up, Kathy. This is unusual.
They actually went out twice. They continued to warm up, then the lights go out.
All right, so that's thrown us behind a little bit. So we're seeing our first vault tonight at 7:13 exactly. We'll come on a little before that to set up the competition. But we're excited about this matchup between these two amazing teams. The 3-time national champions, Florida, and of course the 10-time national champions, the Georgia Gym Dogs. It's going to be good, isn't it?
You don't want to miss it. Some of the most difficult bar routines and vaults in those first two rotations, so stay with us.
And welcome back to Steadman Coliseum in Athens, Georgia for tonight's live SEC ESPN coverage as the 11th ranked Georgia Gym Dogs welcome the #1 Florida Gators. Hi everybody, I'm Bart Connor along with Kathy Johnson-Clark, and Laura Rutledge will be joining us as well. Now this is a mid-season matchup between these two incredible teams, especially important for the host Georgia Gym Dogs tonight, isn't it, Kathy?
First of all, though, who doesn't love Florida-Georgia gymnastics? It's a fantastic rivalry, but you're right, it's especially important for Georgia. They've had a really challenging start to their season. All but one of their competitions have been on the road. This is an opportunity to get back home, get back in a rhythm. They're ranked 11, but check this out. They are in the top 4 ranking for vault and uneven bars, 7th in floor exercise, but check out beam, oh my gosh, ranked 43rd. They have had disastrous beam rotations in every single meet. This is a chance, though, for them to finally fix that, come out strong, because then they can go toe-to-toe with anyone.
And of course, 10 times they won the NCAA championship, so they do know how to win. An important opportunity, perhaps, to get back on track tonight. The Florida Gators, however, are the hottest team in the NCAA. They beat Alabama last week with the highest score in the nation, over 198, and they scored 3 perfect 10s.
It was unbelievable. So the question is, where do you go from here? But check this out, 3 perfect 10s in the last competition. Alex McMurtry went 10-0 on the uneven bars, nailing that landing. And then Bridget Sloan was absolute perfection on the balance beam, setting up Kennedy Baker over on the floor exercise. He finally came up with the 10 she wanted so badly on the floor exercise. So, as I said, the question is, can they stay focused on the corrections they want to make, keep that momentum going, but also keep it fresh?
It's going to be a great night of gymnastics here in Athens, Georgia, a packed house at Steadman Coliseum. Florida at Georgia when we come back.
Welcome back to Athens, packed house here in Steadman Coliseum. I'm Laura Rutledge. We've got Florida and Georgia gymnastics on the way. And when Florida head coach Jenny Rowland and Georgia head coach Danna Durante look at each other from across the gym, they're not just looking at opposing head coaches, they're looking at best friends. These two have been friends for over 30 years. They've known each other since middle school. They went to college together. They were even in each other's weddings. And Danna said that she's always considered Jenny like her little sister. She's always taken care of her through the years, but when Jenny got the Florida job, she wondered if it would affect their friendship at all. Turns out it didn't. They've still been great friends, and it's a situation where they really are able to rely on each other for advice. They have very similar coaching styles, but they did wonder about the rivalry of the situation. They made a pact where they said that their jobs would never get in the way of what they were doing and being friends. They've still held true to that pact. They both say, though, it's surreal that they're coaching in premier college gymnastics programs in the SEC, and they will be facing off against each other tonight, Bart.
Thank you, Laura. Yes, it's exciting to see these two young ladies. I remember meeting them as middle school club gymnasts in Tulsa, Oklahoma at Gym Country, USA. To see these young ladies with braces now, the head coaches and mothers, each of them with 2 children, exciting to see. Okay, here are the Dual meet rules in women's collegiate gymnastics. 6 athletes for each team on each event. Just the best 5 scores count towards their team total. After all 4 apparatus, the team with the highest cumulative score wins. The home team gets what we call the Olympic order, which is vault, bars, beam, and floor. And forgive the pun, but the away team does the flip-flop of that. Bars and then vault, floor, and the visiting team has to finish on the balance beam. So Georgia will be on the vault, where they are ranked 4th in the country, and they are spectacular. And they do some of the most difficult gymnastics of all the teams in the NCAA. So we'll be excited to see what they can come up with today in the vault, Kathy.
It's particularly exciting. They will throw 3 1.5s. They actually have a 4th one in their back pocket that later in the season we will see. That 1.5 is worth a 10.0.
Of course, Florida, we saw them last week in that spectacular meet at home against Alabama. Alex McMurtry will anchor their team. She scored the perfect 10 just a week ago. But this team has 3 incredible all-around gymnasts that provide the bulk of the scores. In fact, half of the scores for the Florida Gators come from 3 gymnasts. Bridget Sloan, Alicia Boren, and Kennedy Baker.
So it's really exciting to look forward to these first 2 rotations in particular. Vault and bar strong for both of the teams. Florida does some high-flying release moves. Very, very good technique throughout the routine. And they're working toward those perfect landings that at this point in the season, we really want to start seeing them zero in on all the fine points of gymnastics, but most important, do not give away the tenths of a point on landings.
Take a look at these 2 teams, their impressive history. Georgia won 10 NCAA championships. The last one was back in 2009. 5 in a row, in fact. Suzanne Yocklin was the head coach for nearly 26 years, 16 SEC championships. But since 2010, the SEC has gotten a lot more parity. There are more good teams, and Florida has been the best of the best with 3 national championships, 3 SEC championships. There is a lot of competition in the SEC because in the old days, when it was just Georgia and Alabama, they kind of traded titles. But nowadays, you got to count in LSU, Auburn, Arkansas.
And it's only made them better to have that kind of competition within your conference, pushing you constantly. It prepares them for the postseason and the national championships.
Boy, they know quality gymnastics here at the Stegman Coliseum, and Suzanne Yocklin, during her time here, built quite a following of season ticket holders. They were the first program to get this kind of crowds consistently, and as you see, the athletes are getting their final touch warm-ups as we get set to start tonight's matchup. There is Danna Durante. Philip Ogletree, another assistant coach there at Georgia, formerly of LSU, will give the nod to Ashlyn Broussard, the junior out of Plano, Texas. She is the leadoff performer, and they're impressed that she seems to be getting her vault landings a little better this year.
She's a very good leadoff vaulter, a pretty vaulter in terms of form and execution. She does the full twist, big hop back. They'll take a deduction for that landing. Keep in mind the judges are looking for height off the table and distance from the table, and of course a perfect landing with the chest upright, the head right over the shoulders. And I really look for that laid out position in the twist.
The leadoff performer on bars for Florida, sophomore Kennedy Baker, Flower Mound, Texas. Former USA senior national team member, one of several on Florida Gators team that represented the US in national, international competition.
This is a big routine to start off their rotation. Opens up with her release move, perfect height and distance. Really want to look for a nice, easy flow and rhythm on this event. And it's beautiful so far, very patient on her swing. Double front and nails the landing. Good for her. What a start for the Florida Gators on the uneven bars.
They're #1 ranked in the country on this event. They're in the top 3 on all 4 events. So Florida off to just an incredible start in this first season for head coach Jenny Rowland, who came from Auburn. Natalie Vaculik will be second up. She's the sophomore from Whitby, Ontario. Gymnastics enthusiasts might remember her sister Christina competed for Stanford.
Very solid vault, stayed a little bit piked in the position as she twisted. Legs even came apart slightly, so they'll take little deductions there on form. Normally she's very, very clean. Legs were apart as she went onto the table and hopped a little bit forward, but boy, does she sell the landing afterwards.
Ashlyn Broussard had a 9.775 for Georgia over there. Kennedy Baker led them off with a very nice 9.825. This brings up the freshman phenom, Alicia Boren. Boy, she has just burst onto the scene here.
Absolutely, competing so well as a freshman. Stays very calm in competition. They're trying to get her to just continue to relax and enjoy herself as she competes every single weekend. Something new. Oops, a little bit of a balance error on bars. You don't usually see that. Sets up the dismount, a high flying double layout. Had a little too much juice, over rotated it slightly. Beautiful straight handstand, sets up the transfer to the low bar. And the dismount, just a little overdone right here. Pulled it around too far. Couldn't quite get the stick on the landing.
It's our first look at freshman Sydney Snead from Raleigh, North Carolina. She's known as a gamer.
A very dynamic freshman. Big vault. Whoa. A little bit of a pogo stick landing.
That's what you do when you're a freshman.
Yes.
They can still bounce.
Yes. My Achilles couldn't take that, but look at the height and distance. Very, very well done. And Coach Danna Durante almost said her. We talked about that earlier. She competed as Danna Lister. That's how we know her.
Scores for Georgia have not been huge on ball. 9.7 range. Bianca Dancose-Giambattisto, now the senior out of Montreal, Canada, 11-time member of their national team to go on the bars.
Her routine is as complex as her name, very elegant on this event. She gets her requirement. Most of the gymnasts will do a single bar release. She does those 2 releases early on. And whoa, she slung that way out. Unfortunately, there's no way to stick a landing when you miss the release point. You don't get the shape in the air, and it's really, really hard to get a landing.
Before her, Alicia Boren had a 9.775, so all of the gymnasts a little bit off here at the start of the show. Now, everything's off timing-wise a little bit, because we're normally on the air at 7 o'clock, our first vault at 7:01. Because the power went out, I wonder if it's affected their warm-ups.
I have to say they were really good sports when the lights went off. Many of them continued to warm up. They stayed loose.
Gigi Marino now.
1.5, that's their first of 3 that they'll do in this competition. We've talked about the 1.5 versus the full. The 1.5 is now judged from a 10.0. The full has been devalued to a 9.95. So a little bit of an advantage to throw the more difficult vault, but you really have to stick it.
We're just quite proud of the high level of difficulty they do in gymnastics. And their final 3 vaulters, as you mentioned, do among the hardest vaults being done. Bridgette Caquatto will be next up. Bianca Dancose-Giambattisto, a 9.8 before her.
And one tough gymnast here. She has been under the weather really all season long. Just had the flu this past week. You couldn't tell it there, though. Beautiful execution on a release move. Very nice handstand work.
Scored 9.95 6 times last year on uneven bars.
Doing a really nice job with this routine. Let's see if she can get the landing on the double layout. Wow, almost. Really, really solid on that routine from start to finish. Especially when you've there's no way she's doing the numbers that most of the gymnasts are doing, having been sick this past week, so excellent work.
Senior Brittany Rogers and Brandie Jay are the dynamic duo that will wrap it up on vault for Georgia. Here is Brittany Rogers. The champion from British Columbia, Canada.
You're right, it's a very exciting 1-2 punch. She performs a 1.5 twist. She nailed it perfectly in warm-ups. Oh no, tried too hard, brought the head forward. You really have to trust your position in the air, not bring the head forward to look for the landing. So it really just negates that extra 1/2 of a point. Notice how the head just really came forward, tried to see the landing instead of feel it.
6-time All-American, still expecting to continue as a member of Canadian elite team as well. Speaking of world-class gymnasts, here is Bridget Sloan. Last week she thrilled us all with a perfect 10 on the balance beam. She was really going for one on the bars as well.
Because she wanted it here. Didn't quite get it, but she has just absolutely gorgeous form in her handstand.
Bridgette Caquatto before her had a 9.9 season high.
Excellent routine thus far. She's usually uncanny with the landings. Oh no, not quite. A little overcooked. Can't quite get the timing of the, look at this, very nice height above the bar. Just a slight, quick flex of the feet. Nice form, the double layout. Couldn't quite glue her feet to the mat though.
Let's go down with Laura.
Bart, Danna Durante noticing some of her girls a little tight over here. She just told Brandie Jay, take a deep breath before this vault, just breathe.
She has stuck this vault before, and she does it again. Very well done. She really is so cat-like in the air. She has a great kinesthetic awareness.
They have been just a little bit off on this event. Only one score of a 9.825 for Sydney Snead. The other scores are all in the 9.7 range.
Just really could not find the landing here. I think it's the excitement of competing at home. Sometimes you try a little too hard, but wow, she pulled that one off.
This is their 6th meet of the season. 4 of the 5 meets were away. Okay, Alex McMurtry. She hit the 10 last week at home in the dual meet with Alabama.
Shows off that handstand on top of the bar. They're all swinging with very good rhythm, good patience. Little piped on that giant going into the dismount, but look at the height and amplitude. Really the highlight of the routine, I think, is the dismount. It's really spectacular.
Before her, Bridget Sloan had a 9.875.
It's a half in, half out, and so well done. Not quite the way she did it last week when she nailed it for a perfect landing.
All right. The Gym Dog fans out in full force. This place is packed to the rafters. About 10,000 folks here tonight. Loving it. And welcome back to Athens, Georgia. I'm Bart Connor along with Kathy Johnson-Clark and Laura Rutledge. An exciting night of gymnastics after the first of 4 rotations. Florida with a .325 lead over the Gym Dogs. There is Coach Danna Durante in her 4th season as the head coach. Finished in the top 10 nationally for the last 3 years.
She's doing a terrific job, and what huge shoes to fill when you follow a legendary coach like Suzanne Joplin, whose personality is as big as this arena, and who I said years ago, this woman loves to win more than she wants to breathe.
Talk about sports dynasties. Well, look at this, folks. You got USC track, Iowa wrestling, North Carolina soccer, John Wooden's UCLA men's basketball, Georgia gymnastics, and UConn's women's basketball. These are some of the most successful collegiate sports programs in history. Suzanne Joplin here from 1983 to 2009 won NCAA championships 10 times. And there she is in the house. Nice to see Suzanne here. And after she retired in 2009, her former associate head coach Jay Clark was in charge for a few years. He has moved on to LSU, and now Danna Durante gets the call. She had spent a few years at Cal, Nebraska, and Washington before getting one of the most coveted jobs in women's collegiate gymnastics. And when we come back, Brittany Rogers will be with the Georgia Gym Dogs on an event where they are traditionally spectacular, the uneven bars, and Florida will move to the vault. Welcome back to Friday Night Heights. Florida has the lead by .325 after a great job on the bars over Georgia's slight stumbles on the vault. Let's go down to Laura.
Bart, I'm over here by the Georgia student section here in the gym, and this is where Florida is warming up for vault. And it's noisy. It's been very noisy over here throughout their warm-ups. So they've been staying loose, even dancing around to NSYNC's Bye Bye Bye. Bridget Sloan throwing up a whole dance routine over here. They're staying very loose and staying in their bubble. And guys, I'm wondering, how much does an atmosphere like this prepare you for the postseason?
This is all in preparation for postseason. When you have to be able to concentrate, block everything out, especially when 4 events are going on at the same time in the postseason, it all works to their advantage.
Bridgette Caquatto had a 9 on bars. Let's see what she can do here.
Oh, little weak on the landing. She stayed tight throughout the air. That might have been a little bit, I mean, she's had the flu all week. It looked a little bit weak as she pushed off the table, and then the legs just gave out on her as she went for the stick.
There is the lineup for Georgia on the bars. They're ranked 4th in the country on this event. This has always been a great event for bars for Florida. Jay Hogue has been working there as one of the key coaches.
They can and want to shine here. They push the level of difficulty on this event.
Vault rotation, Natalie Vaculik had a 9.725.
Very solid routine. Might have rushed just a little bit throughout the routine. Very excited to be here, competing at home, and sometimes you get just a little overamped and get ahead of yourself. But certainly a hit routine to start them off. Just mistimed the release and couldn't quite get the position in the air to set up the stick.
Important night for Georgia Gymnastics. Again, Danna Durante hoping they can get some momentum here. Back to Florida. Ericha Fassbender.
And they want to start the momentum over right here with this vault, and that'll do it. That's as well as she can perform that Yurchenko fall.
Bridgette Caquatto had a 9.75 after her knees slightly buckled on her landing.
But there's nothing like that kind of landing to really be a shot in the arm for the rest of the team.
Here's our first look at Gracie Cherrey, the freshman from Woodbury, Minnesota. Twin City Twisters is where she did her club training.
I like that Coach Durante describes her as one of a kind. She cannot wait to get in the gym, smiles constantly, and just busts her rear end every workout.
Natalie Vaculik before her, a 9.775.
A teeny bit short on that handstand, a little leg separation in the giant, each one, and double layout. A nice float to it, but not perfect form in the air. She'll have teeny deductions that add up a little bit, but she's happy. Nothing feels better than hitting your routine, and coming up with a nice solid landing.
Bridget Sloan, the senior from Pittsburgh, Indiana. She has been the game changer for the Florida Gators. And by the way, Ericha Fassbender before her had a season high 9.85.
Very beautifully done. I could see the determination on her face as she ran to the table. I actually thought, is she thinking of doing a 1.5 twist? She's got that in her back pocket. Great shot here. The bounce of the board. Just technically so perfect throughout this vault. Times the block nicely. She gets a nice laid out position, open hips.
Really exciting when you see an athlete like that that has the power and the technique as well as the execution. She is the real deal. Back to the bars now. Sydney Snead.
She has beautiful form on this event. Tight legs, toes pointed, legs perfectly together. A lot of gymnasts you'll see just slight little hiccups in their form. Not here. I think they taped her ankles together. Beautiful double layout. Nice. Great landing.
She'd been dealing with some back injuries for a while, so they just worked her back into the bar lineup, but Coach Durante said this actually wasn't her best event, but boy, what technique.
Absolute dynamite for this team. A little bit of a pike down there, but excellent routine by the freshman.
Put her in the bars lineup because it was a little bit easier on her back than some of the more pounding events. Bridget Sloan had a 9.875. Alicia Boren.
This can be a big one. Giant 1.5. Way up in the air. Oh, she wanted to stick it. You could see it in the air, and you have to follow through with the vault. You got to finish the vault first. I thought she had a stick in her just watching her warm-ups, but look at the height, tight twist, but she was thinking about that landing.
Look how she just jetted her arms out to the side to sell it.
Yeah. She could tell she was a tiny bit short. It slowed down her rotation, but she managed to get to her feet.
Schick
added a release move to her bar routine, so she has two big ones. There's the first. Here comes the second release, a pike Jaeger. They love to upgrade their bar routines each year. They never do the same bar routine from year to year. He's constantly teaching them new skills. They even perform skills they don't do in their routine in practice. Really makes them great bar performers. Haven't quite seen the landing yet.
One decent landing for Sydney Snead, the freshman. She had a 9.9. Rachel Schick is the junior from Rancho Cucamonga, California.
This was
all SEC on this event.
First release move, and as I said, they're going for two. They're going for bigger difficulty, bigger and more.
Quickly back to the vault. Alicia Boren had a 9.8, stumbled a little bit on the landing. Let's see what sophomore Kennedy Baker can do.
She brought her head forward. She got a stick last week. Both she and Alicia Boren stuck their 1.5s last week. You know they wanted them again here, but she brings her head forward to look for the landing. And that's just a no-no right here. Oh, had to hop.
Boy, what thrills we've gotten out of Brandie Jay over the years, the senior out of Fort Collins, Colorado. Very aggressive, dynamic leader for the Gym Dogs.
And she switched her routine around as well. Added a skill that she used to do years ago. She does it later in the routine, sets it up right here. It's called a Shushanova. A little bit different release move than we usually see. But this is the best part of the routine. Watch this dismount, double layout with a full twist.
Whoa!
And she is so good at finding those landings. Well done. This is kind of tricky, a little, they call it a full twisting reverse hecht. It really isn't, but it's nifty. This is spectacular though. So laid out and stretched.
One of the hardest dismounts in the country. Alex McMurtry a year ago showed us a perfect 10 on the vault. Kennedy Baker before her had a 9.85. See what she can do.
She usually sticks the vault more times than not. She just has a way. She does the vault so well technically that it sets up so much time in the air for her to see the landing. Beautiful flare, opens the arms out. This is just the standard for that vault.
Jenny Rowland giving a few notes to her team as we go back to Brittany Rogers. By the way, Brandie Jay's 9.925 is a career high on the bars, and this brings up this an amazing young lady
probably the most difficult bar routine done in collegiate gymnastics. Certainly one of, if not the most. Watch this combination. After the Stalder, she does a Rikna, the reverse hecht out of the Stalder, right down to the Pack Salto, and she's not done. Watch this transition. Oh no, she missed it. Oh, missed her feet. She'll throw it again, and she makes it. Good for her. Fortunately, in elite gymnastics, she's used to an even longer routine than this, so she handled it pretty well. Whoa, that was tricky.
You mentioned elite gymnastics. She's not only competing for Georgia, but she's also representing Canada. She competed at the World Championships in Glasgow, Scotland this last fall to help them qualify for the Olympics, and she has her sights set on the Rio Olympics as well.
That was a great cover. They will have to take a deduction. She had to repeat the element. I'm glad she did, and she handled it very, very well.
All right, let's go down to Laura.
Thanks, Bart. Jenny, you wanted to see some of the confidence and momentum from last week carry over to this week. How did they do on vault?
I think vault, they did really well. Our veterans did a great job. They settled in a little bit, showed off some of their landings, so it was a good improvement from the last away meet.
In this type of environment, what are you looking for on floor that will help you even going further past this meet?
You know what, just having the girls perform at the best of their ability in dance and in their tumbling. The energy in here is so amped up, so they've just got to settle in a little bit, calm down, and have some fun.
Thanks, Bart. It is amped up down here.
We're glad you're all having a good time. Kennedy Baker getting set for the next rotation for Florida. You see the score here at the halfway point. Florida has a slight lead. Coming up, we'll follow the story of Ivy and Zach.
I'm on the Canadian national team currently. I competed at the 2012 Olympic Games in London, representing Canada. We placed a historic 5th place, and being part of that team was so motivating that I want to go to the 2016 Olympics. So that's currently what I'm doing. I'm trying to juggle this life and my life in Canada. Not many people have been known to do it and succeed at it, but I want to be one of those people, and I'm ready.
I think she's ready as well, Kathy. It's incredible to see her competing collegiately as well as for the national team. In fact, she's heading up to Halifax, Nova Scotia tomorrow to do an exhibition at Elite Canada, all in preparation for the Olympics next summer.
She does a really good job with it, and she's got so much support both here at Georgia and in Canada to do it. We talked to Jay Hogue, the AllArr's coach, and basically they design her routine that, yes, her elite routine has a lot more in it, but it's got the basic design so she stays in that flow and rhythm and then works on the skills that she must add to compete at the elite level.
So Georgia will move to the balance beam where they have struggled, an important, in fact, critical moment for them in this meet. And of course, floor will feature Florida. And that young lady, Kennedy Baker, gave us a thrill last week with a perfect 10.
Our biggest thing is just focusing on what works for us and not letting that slip up during competition.
If I overthink the routine, I promise you I'll be off the beam. So it's very important for me to stay focused on the skill I'm performing and kind of take it step by step.
I have to stay calm, otherwise it gets really bad. And so I stay calm, and Danna says a couple words to me, but the whole time I'm just either singing or just trying not to focus too much on what I'm doing.
Okay, well, this is the moment of truth for the Gym Dogs. We haven't seen calmness quite yet in this competition, the first 2 rotations, but this is a critical rotation for them tonight.
You're right, we haven't seen it. I think they're saving it all for this event. I have a good feeling. I stood down next to the beam as they warmed up. I felt good for them, and you can't hide it. They were relaxed but aggressive, calm but focused. Very, very intense, and that's what it's going to take. In fact, one of their leaders, Beth Box, went up to coach and said, we need more from you. We want to see your intensity, your passion, your edge.
Well, I think she had an extra cup of coffee tonight, so yes. She is amped up even more than normal. Natalie Vaculik, the sophomore from Canada, in leadoff role. You know, we noticed last year about this time in the season, they were in a little bit of the doldrums on beam as well.
Here's her series. Back handspring layout, step out. like to see a little bit more attack on that landing. She's feeling her way through. She's not rushing though, that's important. Aerial side, no.
Oh!
And she had that. She just, the moment you doubt yourself for a split second or you're too quick to think about the correction and assume you're gonna have to make one instead of just be ready to make one, but not expect it.
Once again, team scoring in collegiate gymnastics. 6 athletes go. The best 5 scores count. So that fall now adds a little unnecessary pressure on the rest of the lineup.
Aerial cartwheel to the dismount. Just a little uncertain throughout the routine, and it just reared its ugly head on this one skill right here. She questioned it in the air, didn't attack. You have to keep the center of gravity right over the beam. Yes, the feet have to work, the fingers, everything comes into play, but that center of gravity must stay over the center of the beam.
To Georgia's credit, they do high level of difficulty throughout gymnastics, and they're quite proud of that. Sometimes that is a double-edged sword. Florida's sophomore, Grace McLaughlin now from Allen, Texas.
Lovely music and choreography throughout this routine. Starts out very subtle and builds the energy. She does not have the high level of difficulty that we will see in the competition. So she really tries to perfect the choreography. Expressive. Passes have been twisting passes so far. Back 1.5 twist her front layout. Lovely.
Let's go down to Laura.
Danna Durante said that she felt like she needed to take a step back when it comes to the beam because she wanted her gymnasts to really figure it out. But then, as Kathy mentioned, Beth Box asked for more aggressiveness out of her. I'm seeing it down here. She's being very intense with the gymnast, but also being very reassuring, telling Brandie Jay to remember to keep her core in and focus on that. And one of the things that Danna told me is she said she realized that her gymnasts really do need her on this event, and she's going to step up for them.
Natalie Vaculik had a 9.275. Brandie Jay, the senior from Fort Collins, Colorado, up now.
And it's quite exciting to see her compete on this event. Reverse full turn, that's a neat way to fulfill that requirement on this event. Most gymnasts just do the outward full turn. Cat lead right into her aerial cartwheel. Beautiful, aggressive attack on the landing.
We often talk about how important the leadoff role is in beam, but how critical is the next performer after a fall?
Extra critical after a fall. It's your new leadoff. This is where it begins, right here. Way to connect those two skills. She's performing so well. It's exciting to see her on this event as a senior, competing in the all-around. It meant a lot to her. I saw the emotion in her face when she landed the first beam dismount of her collegiate career just a couple of weeks ago, and I could see it building, the excitement. She needs to stay calm, to finish strong. This is exactly what her team needs, to show this toughness. No matter what, I'm not coming off this beam. Good for her.
Great job for senior Brandie Jay, who asks every day her coaching staff, how can I help make this team better?
She just did it right here. This is someone who does not have a lot of competitive experience on this event, but she didn't let it phase her a bit. She attacked the routine all the way to the end and came up with a big one for her team.
Ericha Fassbender will be second to go. Another young lady from Texas. She's a sophomore from Katy, Texas. With her club training at Stars Gymnastics. Grace McLaughlin had a 9.8 in that leadoff role.
Their choreographer is the volunteer coach, Jeremy Miranda. Does a terrific job creating these routines for these athletes. 2.5 twist to a punch front, well done.
You notice that supplemental mat, it's there just to protect the ankles. There's no deduction for using the additional mat.
Doing a terrific job controlling the landings so far. I'd like to say a little bit more split in those jumps. See if she can get this third and final landing. Combination pass, back 1.5 to a pike front. A little bit of a step forward. They are allowed to step after they show control on the landing. Very, very nice work on this floor routine.
Back to the balance beam for Georgia. It's interesting that 2 seniors in a row now. Brandie Jay got a 9.775 for a good clutch performance. And Brittany Rogers, the other senior, this one from British Columbia. I remember last year we were talking to Danna Durante, and she said, she coached her in a way that says, tell her every routine is a chance to write a new chapter.
Let's see if Brittany follows her own advice. She knows herself well. She can get too nervous here and get ahead of herself. She cannot overthink anything. Stay in the moment. Stay right where your feet are. Take one skill, one move at a time. To say when you land on the balance beam, you want to land as if you're stilling the earth, just stopping everything from moving. Oh no. Little arm swing there to regain her balance. Swing layout, step out. I see the nerves, but she's still attacking the landing. Very nice. Three-quarter twist, back handspring, right to the handstand. She can do that to a one-arm handstand as well, which is her signature move.
Well, that's a risky move that you wouldn't normally see in collegiate gymnastics. It's typical for what they do here.
Don't often see it. She does it well. Crowd loves it. Let's see if the judges do. Back 1.5 twist. Tough performance. Good for her. Because I definitely saw the nerves. I saw her have to calm herself down. Even right there, just checking yourself throughout the routine instead of believing and trusting and moving from skill to skill confidently. But she did handle it and stayed on.
Let's go down to Laura.
Bart, gymnastics has always been all business for Alicia Boren, but Jenny Rowland's been working with her to get her to smile more in this floor routine. And Alicia said at this point she still has to remind herself to do it, but it's helping her enjoy her gymnastics more. And she said Jenny is really helping her learn how to love it. So now if we could just get Bart to smile a little more, I think we'd all be in a good spot.
Thank you. I'll do my best, Laura. Thank you. Ericha Fassbender, a 9.8 after Grace McLaughlin. So the stage is set for a big score here for a powerful tumbler.
I don't know about you, Bart, but smiling is easier than tumbling now, so. And and she can tumble. Opens with a full in. Judges really look for these leap combinations and jumps to show full amplitude, complete split in the air, and get the rotation all the way around. 1.5 twist to a front layout. Now she's smiling. Back to business. Closes with a tuck double back.
And she finishes, of course, with the traditional gator chomp. It plays a little bit different here in Georgia than it does in Gainesville. Last week, they were in front of nearly 9,000 people in the O-Dome, and different atmosphere, isn't it, Kathy?
She does a nice job, even without all that hoopla at the home arena in the O-Dome. Showed off her flexibility and her good amplitude on all of her tumbling passes, nice control on the landing, and even smiled.
9.825 was the score for Brittany Rogers, so she was rewarded for fighting through that beam routine. Let's see what Vivi Babalis can come up with, the sophomore.
And Vivi was the only one in warm-ups to me that looked just a little bit nervous. Hopefully she got that out of her in the warm-ups and will attack this routine. Beautiful combination, but
oh my goodness.
And I love the combination. Nice difficulty. But I can see just the nerves, the shakes before she went into it. It's not at all the way they warmed up. They warmed up beautifully.
Oh my goodness.
Great support in this arena. I don't even think you have to have ever been on a balance beam or been under this spotlight on an event like beam. I have. And when it goes south, to have this kind of support is it's touching for me to see it and feel it in this arena. Because it's not easy.
She's been working hard on not getting too intense as she competes, but she's had some issues with her elbow, so this is what they call a hands-free routine. She's trying to protect her elbow, so no moves on the beam where she puts any substantial pressure on her arms. Missed opportunity there for Georgia. They've already had a fall from Natalie Vaculik, 9.275. So now with 2 falls means they will have to count 1 low score for sure in the team total. Alicia Boren had a 9.875, former Olympian and former world all-around champion, and just a joy to watch. Bridget Sloan now for Florida.
It's a great word, joy, because she exudes it on this event throughout competition. She loves what she does. She lives to perform. It's going for a harder pass here, 1.5 twist through to a 2.5. The energy that she uses to perform is at such a maximum level. Here's her high double back. She likes the landing so far.
21-time All-American athlete, owns a share of every Gator record. She's even completed the Gym Slam, which is a perfect 10 score on all 4 apparatus in women's gymnastics.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Little bit tired. Ah.
Oh my goodness.
Hopefully nothing hurt. Oh boy.
She had a foot injury last year in a dual meet with Ball State. Kept her out for much of the season.
Hopefully she just ran out of gas a little bit. Keep in mind, they compete every weekend. This is hard on the body. I'm just hoping that she didn't hurt something.
Ashlyn Broussard now. Score for Vivi Babalis, an 8.625 after 2 falls. So they will count for sure the 1.9275 from Natalie Vaculik.
Ashlyn's a beautiful beam performer. One arm back handspring to lay out. I cannot tell you, she did not wobble once in warm-ups on that skill. Just absolute perfection on that skill. And it's just, it's the hardest thing to get back when you've lost it, the confidence, because they haven't found it yet in competition. They do it in the gym, they do it in the workouts, they even did it in the warm-ups right before competition, and then something happens.
What would you do in this situation if you were the athlete or the coach? Would you modify the routines?
No, then that just shows your lack of confidence in them. They can do these skills. They can do them in their sleep. What they can't do, basically you have to embrace pressure. You have to want it. You have to eat it for breakfast and want it for dessert, frankly. And it has to become your friend. I know that sounds weird, that pressure, well, pressure is bad. No, pressure, if you use it, and stress isn't bad unless it becomes distress. And that's what's happened to these athletes on this event.
Let's go to Laura.
Bart, we don't have an official report on what's going on with Bridget Sloan, but I can tell you what I've seen. She's been trying to stretch out a lot, and I saw Ginny Rowland mouth that she's cramping. They've tried to get her some fluids. She's drinking as much water as she can, so we'll just keep you posted on it, but it seems at this point like she may be cramping.
9.525 was her score. Kennedy Baker up now. Last week she thrilled us with a perfect 10. Sophomore out of Flower Mound, Texas.
And we all wait for this pass. Her opening run is incredible. Arabian double up front in a pike, almost laid out position. It's probably hard to convince you how hard that is because she does it so easily. Great thing about college gymnastics, they can drop one low score. They have each other's backs. Usually Bridget Sloan comes up huge for them every time, every meet.
We were talking to Coach Rowland a couple of weeks ago, and she's seen it all in gymnastics, and she said, I've never seen anyone tumble as high as that kid, that Kennedy Baker. So that huge tumbling is obviously a highlight.
Combination of raw power and technique, the timing of her block and the lift off the floor is sensational. Way to come back. Excellent. I've run out of superlatives for this tumbling pass. The position is just outrageous, and she opens out of it. And again, way up high in a very open position. Many of the gymnasts are in a tighter pike to get it around. She just floats it around.
A lot of unexpected things tonight. We've seen,
beginning with the blackouts, with the lights going down twice in warm-up, so maybe that has a little bit of an effect.
Beth Box, the final performer here. Ashlyn Broussard in 9.725.
And you called it right, Bart. She is a performer. Very few athletes perform on this event, especially when you've got the nerves that she must have. There's no way they're not there, but she's so aggressive even under these conditions. Attack that layout step out exactly the way you want to see it done. Just a little arm swing there. She was not going to let it go, though. Very crisp movement on this event. The choreography is sharp, clear, clean. Beautiful flow. Worked through just the tiniest little bit of adjustment, not even a break, just an adjustment. And the dismount is a 1.5. Very well done. Way to finish this event off. They've still got some figuring out to do, obviously, on this event, but she is such a key to the success of this team on this event, and they will figure it out.
How about that outfit for a gymnastics meet fan? All right. Final performer now, Ashley Hiller for Florida on the floor. Originally, we had Bridgette Caquatto in the lineup, but we saw her knees buckle a little bit on vault, and then we saw Bridget Sloan buckle a little on floor. So a lot of unusual things happening tonight.
I think we're seeing a little bit of fatigue at this point in the season, and we talked about how high they were last weekend competing at home, the energy that it must have taken, and that they enjoyed, really. They thoroughly enjoyed competing in front of their home crowd on 310s, and I think it took its toll. So it's nice to have this depth that you can do a last-minute replacement in the lineup.
Hiller is a freshman from Houston, Texas, with her club training at Stars Gymnastics. This is only the second time competing this season. She had a 9.725 against Texas Women's University.
One of the things the coaches and the upperclassmen remind everybody is to create your own energy when you're competing on the road. A lot of energy on the sidelines to support your teammates as they perform.
Remember, coming into this rotation, the two teams are separated by less than 0.3 of a point.
Ooh, she pulled that out. Keep in mind, she had very limited warm-up, a last-minute replacement in the floor exercise. Well done.
Let's go back down to Laura.
Thanks, Bart. And Coach, you wanted your team to approach beam as if there was no way they wouldn't stick their routines. What can you say about the way that Mary Beth Box approached hers?
I think she did. I think we had 4 that approached it much more aggressively, 2 that didn't, and you know, it's obviously a little disappointing, but I know they're going to get better. You know, we're just going to keep just working on it. So you need 5 hits. We had 4. We got to get a little bit better there, no question.
How do you bounce back with your floor performance?
This team is known for that. They've done it meet after meet after meet. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do on floor.
We're excited too. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, when we come back, we'll check on Bridget Sloan. Friday Night Heights continues tonight at 8:30 Eastern, where All-American Amanda Wellick and number 8 Arkansas face a tough test against Ashley Nadd and the number 6 LSU Tigers at the Maravich Center, which should be packed. Friday Night Heights continues here from Stegman Coliseum in Athens, Georgia. See the lead there. Florida leads by 0.9 of a point after the third of 4 rotations. We talked at the top of the show about how important the beam lineup and rotation would be for Georgia here at home, Kathy.
I wish you could have seen their warm-ups because they were absolutely spectacular in their warm-ups. They couldn't quite get it done in competition, but as Danna Durante said, they got 4 hits. They need 5. Obviously, they still have some figuring out to do to try to get a full beam lineup to do what they do in the gym, do what they do in warm-ups.
Florida has a lead of 0.9 of a point, but you see there Bridget Sloan's score is almost never dropped, the 9.525, and she seems to be hobbling a bit after this.
Right here, she just could not punch out of that first skill into the second. I'm hoping it's, as they said, a cramp in the leg. And of course, if your calf is cramping, you cannot push off.
Laura Rutledge has more.
Bart, it's a situation where Bridget Sloan still wants to compete on beam, and Jenny Rowland is going to let her warm up, but then she told Grace McLaughlin to warm up after Sloan so she would be ready as well. And Bridget Sloan hobbling around a bit down here. She's moving pretty slowly, but you know the type of competitor she is. She wants to get out there if there's any way possible that she can.
Okay, rotation 4 coming back here in Athens. Georgia moves to the floor, and Brandie Jay is one of their standouts there. We'll see what Florida can come up with on the beam. Set now for the 4th and final rotation. Number 1 Florida visiting number 11 Georgia. The two teams are separated by 9/10 of a point, but lots of unexpected things starting with the power going out before this competition started. So here we are now, even with a lead of 9/10 of a point, Florida has to do the beam, and that brings up sophomore Kennedy Baker.
And all of these challenges help these athletes. The one thing they do have to be very aware of at this point in the season is fatigue, competing weekend after weekend.
Many of these gymnasts come from an elite background where they compete just a handful of times each year. The format in college gymnastics, even though the rules are different, oh my goodness, there's a fall. They do have to compete every week and sometimes 2 times on one weekend.
Florida has been so solid the entire season thus far, and on this event, no problems whatsoever. So we're seeing little hiccups here. Again, I stress, sometimes mistakes are just literally injury, are fatigue. Not just physical fatigue, but mental fatigue.
It's the first fall of the year for Kennedy Baker. This is a team that's ranked number 1 in the country on this event. Not the start that Florida had hoped for. So an opportunity perhaps for Georgia. Once again, a fall is a half a point deduction, and these two teams are separated by just 9/10 of a point. So an opportunity perhaps for the host Gym Dogs. Freshman Sydney Snead has done a great job so far today.
And she really lights up the floor exercise. Just so much energy throughout this routine. Whip through to a tuck double back, landed with her chest a little bit down, so couldn't quite get the landing that the judges are looking for. The chest up and good control.
Wow.
But great amplitude, a lot of energy. This is certainly a time when Georgia needs to take advantage of being at home, competing on floor. With the pressure on the Gators over on beam, missed first event, and they can just turn on this crowd, get them behind them, high energy routines, control the landings, and then they can make up some ground here.
This freshman has done her part today. 9.825 on vault and 9.9 on bars.
Strong finish. This is just a pretty pass. A Rudy to a split jump. Showing off the true athleticism of this sport and the beauty of this sport. Power and grace.
Peyton Ernst now, this freshman from Coppell, Texas. She's up after Kennedy Baker's 9.275 score as a result of her fall.
And toss. Peyton shows a lot of her difficulty in the dance skills, her leaps and her jumps. One of them is coming up right here. After the aerial walkover, standing back tuck, nice combination. She does a hands-free routine.
Shoulder surgery.
There's that leap combination, the jump combination rather, into the sheep jump. A more difficult jump because of the position in the air. And the dismount, a gainer off the end, got them back on track, a nice hit routine.
Similar to Georgia, they started with a fall from Natalie Vaculik. Same with Florida from Kennedy Baker, so extra pressure for the rest of the lineup here. Vivi Babalis fell twice on beam 8.625, but freshman Sydney Snead in the leadoff role for Georgia, 9.875, a season high for her.
Vivi has a terrific routine planned. Had to teach her how to smile and not look so serious. No back handsprings in her tumbling. It protects a tender elbow. There's the whip to a double back. Very creative in the selection of her tumbling passes. Again, no hands down, front layout into the front full. The more they can protect that elbow, the better. Right into the pike double back again, no back handspring. Nice to see she can work around that elbow issue and do so, showing good difficulty, plenty of difficulty in the routine, and a nice smile. Good for her, good comeback from balance beam, and a lot of support from teammates.
For Florida, Ericha Fassbender, we saw her get a 9.8 on the floor. Let's see what she can do now on the beam. Remember, they had a fall from Kennedy Baker, a 9.275. Peyton Ernst had a respectable 9.775. Georgia, on the other hand, has 2 hit routines on floor.
Back handspring layout, step out, well done. She does a sisson into a sheep jump. Needs to connect these two. She missed that last week and had to add another jump. No big deal, but did it quite well this weekend.
Talk about how talented this team is, but in the big picture, they don't have a whole lot of depth. They count on half their scores from 3 athletes. So injuries are the kind of thing that could really affect Florida, as they did last year when Bridget Sloan was out for nearly half the season with a broken foot.
They do a good job managing the injury. They'll have to take a look at this fatigue factor, and at some point, I know Jenny Rowland will step in and rest some of them in some of the upcoming competitions on particular events.
How about that? Georgia off to a great start on floor. 9-9 for Vivi Babalis after a disastrous beam routine. She gets a career high. That brings up senior Brittany Rogers.
Showing off her own choreography. She designed this routine, choreographed it herself, opens with an Arabian double front and a perfect landing.
George doing a great job on floor. This place is sold out tonight. Stegman Coliseum filled to the brim, 10,224 here as number 11 Georgia takes on number 1 Florida, and this is close.
So far, this is the best tumbling, and the landings are much better than I've seen so far this season from Brittany. See if she can get this final landing. This will be the best routine I've seen her do this season. If she can pull it off.
Nice.
Well done! Absolutely. Good for her. That is pure joy. The look on her face. That is the best she has done on every single pass. Really dropped this Arabian double front right into the floor. And it just built from there. You could see the concentration on her face. I know exactly what she wanted to do. But this was the best of all, and she could not contain herself after that landing. The joy was evident.
All right, opportunity for Georgia, putting some pressure back on Florida over at the beam. Alicia Boren. Checking with Laura.
Bart, Alicia's key on beam this week is slowing down, taking time for her to say her cues to herself before each skill so she doesn't get rushed and end up missing parts. And these cues are single words that keep her zeroed in on the task at hand, make sure she isn't thinking ahead.
She'll need to be focused. The score for Brittany Rogers is in over there on floor. 9.95, a career high for her.
But what a great addition to this team. She is not only a talented gymnast, but she's very, very composed and tough in competition. There's no way she's not feeling the fatigue of an already long season. Back to back. Oh, no, that's too bad. I spoke too soon. I spoke way too soon. Just a little sluggish going into it. She usually has so much pop in her legs and great lift, and normally you'd see her head well above the height of the beam as she finishes that. And
how about this? 3 career highs now on floor for Georgia. They were 9/10 of a point behind Florida. Florida has been struggling a bit on beam, and here they go again. Gigi Marino.
Talk about a coach in your corner there. So much energy coming from Coach Durante, driving her athletes to these great landings. And an incredible comeback in the making here.
At about 4 feet 11 inches tall, she is all power.
Pretty easy to say she tumbles over her head. It's nice knowing this team now gets to compete at home for a while, settle into a rhythm, figure out their problems on beam, but for now, enjoy the great crowd support and performing with such energy and joy. It's really nice to see them.
With all these career highs on floor, putting huge pressure on Florida back over on beam.
Exciting routine, another one for Georgia. This place is going crazy.
They are feeling an opportunity perhaps for the Gym Dogs.
She has such dynamic gymnastics. Her tumbling has so much power.
Back over on beam, Alex McMurtry up now. Alicia Boren had a 9.35. So there are 2 low 9s for Florida, and you hear the crowd in the background. The score in for Gigi Marino. Another career high for the Gym Dogs at 9.95.
And honestly, this is so good for the Florida Gators to experience this. It's the first time they've been pressed a little bit so far in the season. And it's important to feel that and see how you respond in this situation. So far, Alex McMurtry is doing a terrific job handling the additional pressure of a missed routine in front of her in the lineup. They've had 2 mistakes so far on beam. They will drop one of them, but they will have to count at least 1 lower score. But she is doing her job in terrific fashion, nails the landing. Extremely well done.
Remember, these 2 teams were separated by 9/10 of a point coming into this final rotation. Georgia has been lights up out on floor. There it is, 9.95 for Gigi Marino. Florida was hoping to get the momentum back on the beam. It didn't happen, but boy, this is a highlight as we go now to Beth Box, the senior from Calhoun, Georgia. She embodies everything that Florex should be, according to Coach Danna Durante.
Oh, this is a stage performance from the moment she salutes the judge. And she can tumble as high as anyone in the country. Watch her whip her head around. She'll wink at a judge, at an audience member. She is fantastic when it comes to performing. Haha, good for her. Probably wonder where's the energy going to come for this final tumbling run.
How about 10,224 people saying you can do it? And they're doing the wave.
She can soar this. High tuck double back and nails the landing. What a thrill for this young lady, for this team, for this crowd.
And they'll have 1 more to go. Brandie Jay will be their final performer. A 9-9 will tie them with Florida, accounting for the dropped lower scores right now. This is a lot closer than we thought it was going to be.
And all because of the heart they showed going into this last rotation. What a comeback.
Bridget Sloan.
And talk about toughness. She did not want to be taken out of this beam lineup. She is so determined, more so than ever. She has a cramp, upper thigh cramp. Handspring layout step out. She can absolutely go for perfection on this event. She has nerves of steel. and the technique to back it up.
Well, look at the determination on her face. She looks almost angry. She says she competes her best when she is a little mad. So the perfect 10 last week at home. And enormous pressure now because this baby is close.
It's amazing routine. I can see some discomfort on her face, but the determination outweighs it. And wanted to stick on the landing, but what an amazing performance from an extraordinarily talented but tough as nails in competition.
Before her, Alex McMurtry had a 9.825. Let's go down to Laura.
Bart, we saw the toughness from Bridget Sloan there, and the Florida coaches and training staff were coming up to her and saying the biggest thing they were concerned about was the dismount on that beam routine. They kept asking her if she could do it, and she said, "Don't worry, I got it."
As Jenny gives some notes to her team, Brandie Jay will go in the final spot for Georgia. Beth Box, a 9.95, 4 career highs in a row for the Gym Dogs. This is just unbelievable.
And Brandie can out-tumble almost anybody, especially with difficulty. Full out, oh no, she stepped out of bounds. Slightly over-rotated that. They'll take a 1/10 of a point off for the step out of bounds and a little bit off for the big step.
These two teams separated by 5/100ths of a point coming into the final rotation, final routine.
And she's got a tough pass in the middle. That's a double twist into a punch front.
Okay, we've done the calculation. Brandie Jay needs a 9.85 for Georgia to win.
The difference may be the step out of bounds. No way not to be impressed with the level of difficulty in this routine and the tumbling. It'll make it close if she sticks this dismount perfectly. It's a very, very good landing. We'll see what the judges take on that first pass because that's going to be the key. It's an automatic 10th for the out of bounds. Let's see how big this step was, how much they will take off for the lack of control on the landing, because they will take that deduction as well as the out of bounds deduction.
Remember, these two teams were separated by 9/10 of a point going into the final rotation, which in collegiate gymnastics is almost insurmountable. You see 5/100ths of a point separated them going into the final routine. Brandie Jay's floor exercise. So that's it, folks. That 9-9 is official. Georgia hoping to get on track on the beam, but who knew? It was floor exercise, and Georgia will get the win. Those three guys at the best seat in the house, that leather couch right next to the floor mat, got a thrill tonight from the home team. Okay, folks, get this. Talk about an unexpected night from the power outage at the beginning to the final score. They are recalibrating the score for Brandie Jay. One of the judges might have missed something. So if that 9-8 is the final score, so with the adjusted final score, there it is, folks. Wow, this was a crazy night from the beginning. I don't know how to explain all of this. For Kathy Johnson-Clark and Laura Rutledge, I'm Mark Otter. Crazy night of gymnastics here in the SEC. We'll see you next time. Georgia wins.